Now you've been super generous with your time, and I don't want to keep you too much longer. But there's a few questions that either we touched on that I'd like you to expand on, or a few questions left. One, Nick Aldis, he did
Yeah.
unfortunately leave National Wrestling Alliance, as far as we can tell, and not
Mhm.
necessarily on the best of terms. You don't necessarily need to, focus on his exit, but what
Mhm.
do you think? You talked a little about his impact on you personally. What do you think about his influence on the National Wrestling Alliance, and what are your just general thoughts and interactions on Nick?
He was the cornerstone of the company, and I think in a lot of ways, his vision was what shaped the best parts of the NWA. Obviously, in conjunction with Billy, you can't exactly count Billy out of obviously the company that's also his baby, but
Yeah.
Nick Aldis put his heart and soul into the NWA. Throughout everything that I knew about it, he put a lot of time and effort into it, a lot of unpaid hours, a lot of thankless jobs that he did for the NWA. And I really appreciate everything that he brought to the NWA. He gave me a platform to be on, not just Billy, but also Nick's efforts continuously made for sure that people were able to feed their families. They were able to have that opportunity. It is hard to talk about the NWA, even up to this point, without talking about Nick Aldis and how much he did for the company. And there's a lot of people that will never know how much he did for this company. And I'm very appreciative of that. And, I can't exactly speak about his exit because I don't know what was going on personally between him and Billy. All I knew is about what happened between me and him and what
Mm.
I personally saw. And it's unfortunate they didn't have a relationship that lasted as long as I thought it would. I
Mm.
didn't think this was really a relationship that would break up at any point in time. But then again, hey, we got proven time and time again that a lot of things that you don't expect happen. I mean, the pandemic is one of them.
Yeah.
Nobody expected that to happen. Nobody expected that to disrupt wrestling or to really stop wrestling, but it did. Um, and with Nick, I can't. He's one of the many people that I have to thank for what I do have in professional wrestling, and for believing me in any sort of amount, or using any of his influence to do me a favor, to help me out. Because again, who am I? Who am I to Nick Aldis for him to stick his neck out and do anything for me like he did? Same thing with the Crimson, with the Jeremiah Plunkett, with the Crazy Steve, with the Tom Latimer, with the Jack Stain, with any of the guys who stuck their necks out for me, even all the way up to the top with the Billy Corgan, with the Pat Kenny. Who am I for them to stick their neck out for or whatnot? And that really humbles me that they're willing to do those things for me, that they're that generous, that magnanimous to give me not only their time but also their attention and their appreciation. It's a big thing for me. Um, so and I still have a high amount of respect for Nick, and that's not really going to go away. I understand that there's the bad taste that NWA has in their mouth for Nick, and Nick has a bad taste in his mouth when it comes to the NWA. But again, I'm somebody who likes to look more on the positive side of everything that's going on here. You
And
know.
hey, it is pro wrestling. It is a business. Sometimes these things happen, and who says they're
Mhm.
permanent? Sometimes
Yeah.
sometimes people need a healthy distance, and things get better in time. Sometimes people just work better apart. Either way, I'm
Yeah.
sure both will prosper on their own.
Oh, of course. I have all confidence in the world in Nick Aldis because I mean he was the cornerstone of our company for a reason. And then same thing with the NWA. The NWA is something that has been brought to a point now to where it's just starting to really, really hit a stride.
Mhm.
Where there's still bigger and bigger things that are planned not just for 2023, but 2024 and beyond that. And I think that both entities, obviously Nick Aldis and the NWA, will still continue to strive.
Yeah,
And
when we're talking to Joe Galley, NWA, they have a live Powerrr coming up. They have a
Mhm.
show in Mexico coming up. There's a lot of big things for the company in the future.
Oh yeah, there's a lot more things that people don't know about. Yeah, there's even more things that out of the amount that I know about that I'm not allowed to talk about, there's even more outside of that that I don't know about yet. That hasn't left Billy's mind.
Mhm.
Hasn't left Joe Galli's lips, hasn't left Kyle Davis's lips. Nobody else is going to know about it until the time comes for it. And so it's got me excited for next year. It's got me extremely excited for everything that's going on with professional wrestling, and then also especially for NWA. To know there's a lot of plans in place to continue to boost our numbers up with viewership and then also with fan engagement. I'm extremely excited. I can't be anything but.
Yeah.